Didn't take very long to get back into the win column. Welcome into the DNVR Avalanche post-game show presented by Bet365. The Avs take down the Ottawa Senators 5-1 in a game that got out of hand pretty quickly, and the Avs made it look easy for a SEGABABA. Awesome. This game was awesome. I know you missed a portion of the first period, but you got to watch all the boring parts. Sucks to suck, buddy. But
I saw the highlights.
No.
I did watch the highlights to get me back on track.
I want to start with this. And look, Ottawa win away in this game. I don't read too much into these statistics because this was a very unusual place for a hockey game to end up in. Nonetheless, the Avs just held a playoff team to 16 shots on goal, and the Avs were on the SEGABABA while Ottawa was rested. Sure, Ottawa played poorly, but that is fantastic work from the Colorado Avalanche.
Yeah, and if you're Ottawa, you're disappointed, like you said. You know what I mean? You have to be. You have to be. You have to be disappointed in your goaltender. You know what I mean? Like, you have to be disappointed. Like, you're waiting at home, waiting for those guys to come in, and you were well rested, and you really didn't take advantage of that. You know what I mean? And that's disappointing, especially in, again, they're in, as you said, but you're still fighting for your life a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, in a sense that you don't want to keep dropping games like that because you're going to be on the outside looking in pretty quick. So, but the Avalanche, like you said, they might be good. They just might be a good team. They don't give up anything. And we've said that so many times. Like, and then Wedgwood was good, like you said. Again, I'm lying through my teeth in a sense. I didn't see it, so I'm going to rewatch it. But he was good when he had to be, and then probably went to sleep for a bit, right? You know what I mean? That's life as a goaltender with the Avalanche, right? It's just the way it is. It's been like that for a long time when you have McCarr, McKinnon, puck possession team. You know what I mean? So you're not going to give up much. So, but it was again on a back-to-back. I was a little bit sour at the score last night. I think you said it best. We were both like disappointed, like I'm sure like they were. But I mean, the process of the game was pretty good. I mean, they played a good game. You know what I mean? So you couldn't be mad about the process. You can be mad about the outcome. You know what I mean? Because it's a crappy, shorty, dumb, bad luck, whatever you want to call that. That kind of decides the fate of the game. But tonight they come back, and again, your goaltender's there to make the saves when you need at the start, and then you go and all of a sudden your power play connects, the big guys connect. You look back, and it's kind of an easy night tonight for the Avalanche.
Just to paint the picture for Wedgwood, in the first 6-ish minutes of the game, he faced 7 shots on goal, of which he stopped them all. In the last 54 minutes of the game, he faced 9 shots on goal.
Yeah, and they scored at the end on the power play, whatever. So shots there. So,
I don't care about that goal other than it cost them.
No. What I'm saying is, I'm saying that they got a couple shots on the power play there and they scored.
True.
And other than that, it was basically like 6-7 shots the rest of the night.
And Wedgwood did great at the start of the game. Yeah, like you said, he made sure he kept it 0-0, gave the Avs the position to run away with this game ultimately, and then he had an easy 2 periods basically. So.
Because why? Right? SEGABABA. The worst thing you want to do is chase the game. You know what I mean? The worst thing you want to do is chase the game. So he didn't play last night. His job is to make sure that the shots he was getting or the chances the Avalanche were giving up. He was there to clean up mop duty and give them a chance to get one or get a couple shifts underneath themselves and then feel good about their game. And then obviously they never look back. But, without those saves, like you said, it's probably a different outcome. So,
Yeah,
very
it
important.
certainly looks like a very different game. Instead, the Avs have the opportunity to get up to speed in this one and ultimately run away with it. And there's a couple of different angles I want to get into on this, but let's start here. You can only keep the Avs top players off of the board for so long. Nathan MacKinnon scores you the Avs' first goal of the night. You end up with multi-point nights for a bunch of guys, but that includes Cale Makar, who, by the way, inching closer to a 30-goal season. It could be on the table. It might not happen, but we'll see.
Right.
Multi-point nights for depth guys too, though. We'll get to Nelson and his line, but then you also had a multi-point night for Ross Colton, and it's incredible how it filters from the top down, right? Your top line gets you going at 5-on-5 in this game, and then everybody starts pitching in. You got goals from your first, your second, your third lines, and your defense in this game. That's sure. Your fourth line didn't score a goal, I guess, but how you draw it up is a goal from each one of your top 9, each one of those lines, righty?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And when everybody can contribute, everybody can feel good about themselves. Everybody can. You talked about it, the top 6, right? I wasn't too sure. Remember, I was like, I was wondering yesterday what they were going to do. You didn't like it, certainly, the
I did
11,
not.
13, 29. I didn't like it either. Uh, Wondering if, again, even that tonight was part of the plan here the last few weeks of let's try that at some point. You know what I mean? Like whatever you saw tonight, right? That worked out. Well, if that was the plan, then I would say mission accomplished on that one because it looked a lot better than that one last night. You know what I mean? And you know what I mean? I don't know. But again, last night they weren't that bad. I mean, they played a pretty good game. I'm saying, but it wasn't, I don't know, it just wasn't sexy. You know what I mean? Like it just wasn't working, where
Yep.
to me this tonight, obviously, from what you told me and the highlights I saw in the first, and then obviously afterwards a little tough to judge, you know what I mean, because
Yep.
it's a nothing burger game. But you know,
Yep.
I kind of like and see, and it'll be interesting to see how they're gonna go about it, right? Because remember, they went 8-0-1 with those other line combos. That was pretty good. You know what I mean? It's not like it was bad. It was good. So I think they're really tinkering, really trying to see what works and what they feel can work. Obviously, a few weeks from now, which is the most important thing, right?
Yeah, of course. It's this one is one of those games where I genuinely don't have anything negative to say about this game. Any struggles that the Avs had were either bailed out by Wedgwood at the start of the game and then irrelevant when who cares about that Ottawa goal? Who cares about the penalties the Avs took at the end of the game? The game was out of hand. It did not matter at that point in the game. So
No,
the
yeah,
Avs
yeah.
did pretty much everything right from top to bottom in this game. I do want to get into some individual conversations. We have 3 stars coming. We'll get into that in a little bit. But let's talk about some of these other guys. I've seen chat talking about it a lot. At this point, and look, Gerard is day to day with a lower body injury. It sounds like he'll be fine reasonably soon, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. But Sam Malinski has earned a roster spot or a lineup spot, I should say, for the playoffs at this point, right? He's played so well over these last handful of games.
Yeah, I really was impressed with his game last game. I really was impressed with his games last week, even though he got a couple scratches in there.
Yeah.
I think it's all part of the plan. Um, when he's on, when he's not thinking, and his style's not going to change. He's not Mister combative or whatever it is. And I'm not saying he's soft. I'm saying, but he's not. He's when he's quick to pucks, when he's quick and simple first pass, and his first pass can be deadly, as we know.
It
And for
was
you and
tonight.
me, it's a
Yeah.
complicated pass, but for him, it's not. You know what I mean? His first pass is elevated, like his floor is high. You know what I mean? You and I's really low.
Look,
His is high. You know what I mean? So, um, yeah, you're right. And it could have been one guy that maybe I thought would have folded, so to speak. I hate to say that about someone, but you know what I mean? Like, oh, you know, his name was in rumors and all that kind of stuff, and he was playing okay, and not playing too good, and kind of up and down, and then next thing they make the EJ acquisition, they do this and this and that, and then all of a sudden he's playing the best hockey that he's ever played. You know what I mean? So for me, that is an unbelievable sign of character, unbelievable sign of maturity, unbelievable sign of, yeah, I want to be part of this, and whatever you want me to do, I will do. And again, we got to make sure we're not giving him first line minutes, right? First pair minutes. I'm just saying. Let's
I
make sure.
mean,
I know what you're saying. I know. But let's just one step at a time here. And
yeah.
then, yeah, if he wants to play this way, I got no problem seeing him in the playoffs. Honestly, I got no problems at all.
I look, you can't give him first pair minutes, you're right, but he did break the 18-minute mark tonight. Played 18-15. You
Yeah.
look at that defense, Makar, the only guy who broke 20 minutes, Tays just shy at 19:51. Lindgren had 19, Malinski had 18. Both Middleton and Johnson played 17 and change. Maybe the biggest win of this game, you always talk about the 3 and 4s. The Avs spread the ice time perfectly tonight. McKinnon led the forwards in ice time with 17 and a half. That's nothing, dude. That's a light night for Nathan.
Unless you bet his ice time, and then you're like, boo. But you know what I mean. But the time on ice TOI spread yesterday's key. Yeah, we didn't get to it yesterday. We're like,
Yeah.
but tonight they got to it. So at least out of one of the the SEGABABAs, they got one game where the TOI is really good, really nicely spread, and you don't get too full from it. You know what I mean? And you know what I mean. You don't want to puke because you put too much on it. So now you can go into possibly a day off tomorrow, obviously, and then a big night on Hockey Night in Canada Saturday night in Montreal. La soirée du hockey, une présentation. You know, very important, very exciting. But again, that TOI tonight is key. It's awesome. It's a key ingredient to winning. Absolutely.
Yep. We talked about it in pregame with AJ too. It's you got to find your ways to games like this sometimes just to help you stay fresh. It matters a lot,
Yeah.
especially do the Avs chase down Dallas in this last stretch of the season or not? We'll see. But if you're gonna do it, you got to have games like this one to keep the energy up, keep yourself ready to go on that front. Uh, Rest of the defense tonight, obviously, again, no complaints top to bottom, but I think you're starting to see the defense as a whole ramp up towards the playoffs, right? And it's obviously Cale Makar is going to get his points offensively. Awesome. And I love that he's chasing down 30 goals. But more importantly, it's every single pairing, every single shift with the consistency defensively in this game. You're watching these guys make the right plays, make the right moves in their own zone a whole lot more. And this goes just beyond tonight. Again, this one ended up being pretty easy for the Avs defensively, even if they did play well. But over these last 7 games now, you've seen so many of the little details get locked in. For 50 games of this season, we watched the Avs. They can play pretty good defense, but would be prone to these big mistakes. You haven't seen nearly as many of those since probably the first Toronto game after the deadline. They had a bunch, but since then, there really has not been that many mistakes out of your defense.
No, there was the Lindgren / was it Sammy? Which game was that? Is that a couple games ago? Couple turnovers there. I'm trying to remember.
Yeah,
Maybe it
the
was the
Lindgren one
beginning. Is
wasn't
that
that
maybe?
bad. The Gerard one
No,
was
I mean
very
it was
bad.
just off the
Yeah,
whatever, just
yeah,
turnover off the wall.
yeah,
Yeah, again, I'm nitpicking. It's been
yep,
awesome. Um, there's a reason you harp on details at the start of the year. You harp on details in training camp. You harp on details early in the season, and I that's all he talked about the first couple of weeks of the season. If you guys remember, like it was crazy. That's all he talked about. And you're like, but that's kind of how you form championship habits. It doesn't happen overnight. Um, but like you said, they're giving up so little chances each game
yep.
that your details must be on point, right? I mean, the proof's in the pudding. It just is. Um,
Mhm.
with that said, I think that does this coincides? I think I was reading AJ's tweet there. Is it coinciding a little bit with the arrival of Orion Lindgren? Yeah, I mean, I think it has a lot to
It
do with it.
matters.
I think
Hmm.
lefty righty. Again, now we're dealing with again two injuries again on the back end, Sammy and Manson. But for a little bit there, the lefty righty, lefty righty, lefty righty. I like that. I think that there's a reason you don't give up a lot. And like you said, there was a couple flagrant ones earlier in the season, uh, and they weren't getting the saves. So it's even more flagrant because
Yep.
you make a mistake and
It's a fair
goalie
point.
saves it, you don't see anything. You know what I mean? But then make a mistake and goalie doesn't save it, then it's on the highlight reel the next day. And in the locker room, you're getting an Oscar, right? You don't want to be one of the actors, right? You don't want to be the guy.
Yep.
It's not fun, you know what I mean? Because it's like, oh man, do I really have to see this? You know what I mean? So, you know, then again, it's important to harp on the details. There's been a few additions, like we talked about, like again, Lindgren, to learn how to play the system, to learn how to. But I think not enough credit goes to Nolan Pratt, like I say all the time, and Bednar. They do like their types, and they do like their ways of teaching uh, old dogs new tricks, so to speak,
Yep.
or young guys, or whatever it is. And this is how we play. This is how we feel. It works for us. It's worked for us. Our record is speaks for itself in the last few years, and this is how we believe we can win championships. And then all of a sudden, they're a little more balanced on the
Yep.
a little bit more balanced on the back end, and they're a little bit more, like just I don't know. It suits them well. It looks right.
Yeah. I mean, look, let me teach you a new trick here, E, and let's pay some
Yes, sir.
bills. As
Yes, that's not new.
if you wanna go catch an Avs game, I highly recommend that you go get with Game Time, baby. It's the best way to get tickets. Guarantee you the best prices available too. If you find tickets cheaper outside of the Game Time app, Game Time will reimburse your account 110% of the ticket price. When you do buy with them, use code DNVR to get $20 off and use their Game Time Picks feature. Jump in with them. That will get you the best tickets for the best prices based on your search parameters. Of course, you can see the seats in the stadium, see where they're going to seat, see what it looks like. With Ball Arena, you can't go wrong. There's not a bad seat in that stadium. But to get out, watch the Avs, watch this defense be elite, watch them playing some of the best hockey they've played all season. Game Time is the way to do it. Or, if it's an Avs off day, you can go to the concert, you can go to a theater, you can go to the movies. Game Time has you covered for not just sports, but pretty much any ticketed event out there. Go get with them. Go use that Game Time Picks feature. Use the DNVR code to get $20 off your first purchase. Of course, terms apply, but what time is it? It's game time, baby. Once you've got your Game Time tickets, make sure you're also taking care of your money. E, are you good with money?
Sometimes.
Me too. Sometimes I'm good with money. Sometimes when I'm keeping track of it, that is where Monarch Money comes into play. You can keep track of your money way better when it comes to Monarch. You can use code DNVR at monarchmoney.com to get signed up today. It's a fantastic app. If you haven't used it, obviously, sometimes finances get messy and confusing, but Monarch Money is like your personal CFO. It gives you full visibility and control of your money so you can see every little detail of it. It's basically like a financial command center. Your accounts, your investments, your goals, you can track it all with Monarch Money. It's more than just managing your money, and you can start building wealth with 50% off your first year for our listeners with that DNVR code at monarchmoney.com. Rated the best financial app of 2025 out there by the New York Times. Is that the right place? I think that's the right place. Either way, it's one of the best apps out there. Get over all that financial stress. Make it all make sense with Monarch Money. Head on over to monarchmoney.com today. Get control of your finances. Use code DNVR at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code DNVR. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. We're rolling right along. Let's get into our 3 stars. And I had fun with this one. There are some other good players that we'll talk about in a minute. But all of my 3 stars for the night are the Colorado Avalanche second line, which looks different a little bit today. Yeah, Brock Nelson in the middle, but it was Marty Necas and Artturi Lehkonen on his wings. You're finding that flexibility with the Avs wingers right now. At times, it felt like you're jumbling things up. You're trying things. Maybe guys aren't going. But the Avs are starting to find what they've always wanted with their wings, I think. And were there players that had better nights than Necas and Lehkonen as my second and third star? Maybe. I think you can make that argument for sure, and we'll talk about those guys. But the reason I wanted to put them on there, you put these two with Brock Nelson. Lehkonen had 1 point in his last 5 games. Gets back on the scoreboard tonight. Necas, only 2 points in his last 5 games. Gets back on the scoreboard tonight. And it's Brock Nelson putting the puck in the net on that line. I know one of them comes on the power play, but still, it's Brock Nelson being the goal scorer. You can see how this fits.
Oh yeah, and we did 5 minutes ago. We said it. Was that something, that they had planned to do? I'm sure it was. I'd like to ask them. I'm sure it was something they had planned, like what we saw yesterday, and I think what we saw tonight. Again, I'm going back to his words. He's pretty meticulous in his words, right? When he speaks, like press conferences. There's always, if you're listening, there's always there's a reason he says stuff, and he alluded to it that he was, it's not about experimenting, but it's about trying to see what you have, And is it fair when someone shows up and then all of a sudden you put them together and then you never try anything else? Probably not. When I say fair, meaning to the process of trying to see what works with what. So I think tonight sounds like I like the look of it. I do. I really, really like the look of it. I like that. You know what I mean? And again, we all know that all of a sudden Mac can he plays well with Druin. We know that. And we know he plays well with Nuke.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So it's like, and then you see Nelson, if you're Necas and Lehkonen, it's like, okay, Brock Nelson is a pretty good player. It's not like you're getting pooped on and, shipped to the curb. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, I can see this. You know what I mean? I do. I really can see this. And maybe better suited for Necas. You know what I mean? I don't know. I liked it. We'll see. It'll be interesting to see what you see Saturday night now. Right?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I
Do you
agree.
see this? Probably. I think you see this again. I'm not going to text them and ask them. But I think what you see, what you saw tonight is what you're going to see Saturday night. And again, if there's no injuries, knock on wood, I think Miles and Big Jimmy, are going to have to wait their turn still because Kibby the Cat is getting it, and the fourth line is getting it, and there's no room right now. You got to wait your turn. You got to wait your turn, and don't lose your turn once you get in there. I've always told that. I was told that back then. Once you get in, you want to make sure you never give it away. You know what I mean? So I think those guys are getting the assignment right now. They're getting it.
I agree. We'll talk about them in a little bit. I want to talk more about Brock first because Brock is our UC Health Live Extraordinary player of the game on this one. Felt like he'd been close for a while and really breaking through and getting that first goal for Colorado. Makes it 2. Why not have a little fun with it? Why not pop off a little bit for a little behind the scenes cutting room floor stuff? We did record a mini pod video that has not been published shortly after the deadline on why we thought Brock Nelson might be the best acquisition of the trade deadline. Games like tonight are why. Well, part of why, I should say. This felt like the reward that Brock Nelson deserved, right? You've seen him do a lot of the little details great for the Avalanche so far since coming to this team, whether that be winning faceoffs, screening goalies, willing to get physical and mix it up after whistles. He's done so many of those good things that you just knew this was coming for him eventually.
Yeah, he is what I'm going to say. I hate that expression, but I'm going to say it. He's a hockey player. He just is. You know what I mean? It's what he does. Like when people are like, "Oh, what a golf shot that is." Well, every shot's a golf shot, right? I mean, when you think about it. But anyway, he's a hockey player. You know what I mean? He does the right things. You know what I mean? He knows what he's doing. He knows when he's right. He knows when he's wrong. mid play, before a play, after a play, on the bench. He knows what works. He knows what doesn't. I think you can mix and match him with a bunch of different guys, and I think he's going to be effective. You know what I mean? And I think, again, you've been somewhere for so long in one place, you know what I mean? And it's not easy. It's not easy to put on a different jersey, and it's always a little bit of a shock, you know what I mean? And then you get to this team, and you want to see where you fit, where you belong. I think he's had some good games, some okay games. The production hasn't been the greatest until tonight, but he makes a difference. There's a reason the Avalanche were 8-0-1. You know what I mean? Or whatever it was since he got there. Besides, obviously, last night and tonight. So
It's
we got to
5
stick
1
away
now
from.
since the
I got to
deadline.
step away from the 8-0-1, but whatever. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, he's a player that you won't look in the stats after the game. You know what I mean? Like, it's not going to show up. Some stuff that he does, like screening a goalie, like that type of little things that we've seen. Obviously, he hit the post the other, and he could easily have 3 goals, 4 goals by now.
Oh yeah.
But I think he's appreciative of the situation he's in. I think he's appreciative of the lineup that he's in. What he brings to this lineup, and I think he feels appreciated by the coaching staff and by the other players, right? So I think there's been a lot of votes of confidence, you know what I mean, here and there. Even yesterday, even though you and I didn't like it, it's still a pretty big vote of confidence from the coach to put you with the
For sure.
leading scorer in the National Hockey League as a winger, you know what I mean, even though you're a centerman, you know what I mean, and with Val, obviously one of those unicorns of the NHL. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
I think it's been good. It's been really good, and I think it will be great. There's a lot more to go for him to find his place, his feel. But so far so good. And as we saw tonight, Ottawa Senators are not. That's not the San Jose Sharks. You
Right.
know what I mean? That's a good team that was waiting for you on a SEGABABA, and there's a reason that you went ahead and never looked back, and they really didn't give up anything to that team
Yeah.
because of guys like Brock Nelson's additions have really transformed the Avalanche's look up front.
Yeah. I mean, the Avs cooked this team. I don't think there's any two ways about that. And Brock is a big part of that. Sure, McKinnon gets you on the board first, but it's that you got to throw the combo, right? You can't just jab and stop punching. And Brock Nelson's the swinging uppercut behind the McKinnon jab in tonight's game. So
Boy,
worked out.
pretty good.
He's also makes a fantastic American Revolutionary War soldier. So I get to have fun bits with it on
I
Twitter.
love those pictures, man. Those are sick. It's awesome.
It's always good
It's
times. Always good times with
It's
that
funny.
stuff. It's more than just Brock, though, too, right? And we can get in deeper into this after the break in a minute here. But let me ask you this on the front side of it. When you look at the Avs wing group, I think you have Nichushkin and Natchez are probably your 2 best wings. How do you organize the rest of them, though? And like, I'm not saying you put them together, but if you're ranking the Avs top 5 wings, what order do you put them in? I'm assuming Nuke and Natchez 1 and 2 in whatever order you want to put them in. I'm not going to argue you. But then you have Lecky, you have Druin, and you have Colton.
Hold on, I gotta write that down. I'm a visual.
All right. Nuke and Natchez. And then Lecky, Druin, Colton. Rank them 1 to 5.
God, you're killing me right now.
I know it's hard.
Well, no offense, I'm going 20 as my 5th one. Okay, so
I think that's pretty clear. Not that he's bad.
yeah,
that's
for
just,
me, right off the bat. I'm
tell
gonna
you
go
what,
13-1. Yeah,
I'll let you think about it. Let's pay some bills here, and you can think
I'll
about
go
your
right now,
rankings,
right
and we'll get to the backside of it here. So while he's thinking about it, we can jump into our next sponsor. Bringing you all of the good vibes is our official craft beer here at DNVR, Breckenridge Brewery. Go get with them. Obviously, I love them. The Avalanche Amber, fantastic beer. You get $2 off Avalanche Ambers during Avs games at the DNVR bar. So go check that out. But they have a flavor for everyone. Literally dozens of beer flavors come from Breck Brew. If you haven't gotten them, if you haven't tried them yet, they're available in all 50 states. You can find them online at breckbrew.com. Use their Breck Beer Locator. Show you where they are in relation to wherever you might live. So jump in with Breck Brew today. You can check out their awesome merch. Also, people love their hats. If you haven't seen those, go get them. Go try any of their new beers, whether it be the Avalanche. That's not new, but they just released a new West Coast style IPA, if that's your thing. Their spring beers should be rotating into things as well. So if you like those lighter, springy, I don't know about the details. So go get with Breck Brew. Go find a beer that you like. Again, the official craft beer of DNVR is Breckenridge Brewery. And then, what goes great with beer? Chicken fingers. Make sure you're hitting up Raising Cane's to get your fresh hand-battered chicken fingers every single day. They're bringing the Underdog Challenge back. And when the odds get beaten, the chicken fingers will get eaten. Obviously, it's March Madness going on right now. In March, Raising Cane's is giving away a free box combo every time an underdog wins. And word on the street is Drake just beat Missouri. Drake was the 11 seed and Missouri was the 6 seed. So free box combos. Go get some from Raising Cane's. You can register for your chance to win one at raisingcanes.com/underdog challenge. No purchase necessary. Must be 18 or older. Ends April 7th, 2025. Rules or eligibility and how to enter at raisingcanes.com/underdog challenge. Raising Cane's, one love. Jump in with it. Make sure you're enjoying yourself. Some chicken fingers and some beer and some March Madness. Why not? Third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. All righty. Give me your list.
I'm looking at Jamie's and I got the same one. So I got 13, 88, 62, 27, 20. Same as Jamie there on chat. That's just what I got.
I think that's a fair list, but hear me out on this.
I'm listening.
The reason Lecky's at 3 is because of consistency.
Yes.
When you look at ceilings, Druin is ahead of Lecky.
I totally agree.
And that's kind of the conversation I want to have, because Druin has a multi-point night tonight. He jumps up to the first line. He was playing the third line yesterday. He was on the Avs' third line for that Toronto game, and he jumps up to the first line and immediately starts producing. This is... I almost never do this because teams from different years are different. They just are. It's hard to compare across year to year. The Avs being that deep at wing reminds me of the 2022 Cup team. It reminds me of them having an Andrei Burakovsky showing up on their third line some nights as that additional scoring punch in their depth, as that additional play driver. It reminds me of a team that deep. Forget about the Landeskog conversation. That could make them even deeper. But as constructed, how many teams in the NHL right now are deeper than the Avs? There can't be many.
Not my book. Not my book. I know you hear Dallas is so the up front, but I mean, man, oh man, like this Avalanche squad is very deep right now. I mean, it's very deep. Yeah, I think Jonathan's fair there. Druin is our Berkey, for sure. Something like that, absolutely. But I do believe this is as deep as they've been in a long time. And that's why I think they're trying to figure out what's going to work best. You know what I mean? Like, I would have told you 2 games ago, leave 88 with 29. I mean, well, what are you doing tinkering with this? It's worked well. It's been great. But then at the end of the day, when I'm looking at what I saw, like tonight, and then seeing Joe Druin, with McKinnon, we all know work well together, and then, with obviously with Val, then you're like, I kind of like this too. You know what I mean? Like, so what does that mean? That means that there's a lot of freaking wings that we're rating 1 to 5 right now that can be plugged in and make things look right and look good and look exciting. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple fixers in there. 62-13, right? They're the adults, like you guys call them all the time.
Look, he put
You
Lecky
know,
and Coyle
and
together last game, and it was great. Like,
are you serious? Imagine trying to go play a game against Coyle Lucky. I mean, it's not fun. And I'm not saying you're going to get murdered. I'm saying there'll be no room. There'll be a stick in the way. There'll be the guy body position in the right place. And, it's not fun.
yep,
You're not getting a freebie off a draw, you know what I mean? Because, like he's going to step in the way and they cannot take a penalty, but, you know, impede your progress. So it's, wow. It's kind of nice to see from what you saw. Again, start of the season was a little different. We all know Lucky was out, Val was out,
yep,
and a couple injuries were out, and then you had some guys in there that didn't belong there, and I think
yep,
you saw it. And it was like, whoa, you know what I mean? That's not what you're seeing right now. What you're seeing right now are legit 5, 6, wingers to fill those spots, and it's been fun to watch, and I think again, there's a reason you're winning some games right now because everybody's kind of chipping in and everybody's doing, um, their job, and they all want a piece of the pie. You know what I mean? They all want a piece of the pie. And
yep,
it's not just the bottom six; it's the top six too. They want a piece of the pie. They want to make sure that they're there. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like they're a part of it. So absolutely.
And here's, I think, the part where it gets interesting for me. Yes, awesome. All of these players are very, very good, and you could look at the offensive production night. Even Colton had a multi-point night. Okay, your centers are producing, your wingers are producing. Great. You don't hold the team to 16 shots on goal if your centers and wingers aren't also being responsible defensively. And
Bingo.
I think this plays out more in your bottom six probably than your top six guys. Uh, Not that your top six guys are bad defensively by any stretch of the imagination, but you look at Parker Kelly being back on the wing. You look at Jack Drury at center. You look at Charlie Coyle, like you were talking about, being so difficult to play against. And the roles on the Colorado Avalanche have just become so much more clear on what your responsibilities are. You have the middle six depth where you're like, okay, your second line should be able to produce for you. On your third line, you look at someone like a Colton who's like, hey, you're supposed to be the point producer on this line. Kivy, if you're pitching in goals like this, great, but we need you to be well rounded. And then Coyle as well, a very well rounded two-way center for you. It's easier to deploy these guys in the right situations, righty?
Yeah, and I think to echo what you were saying at the start of 2 seconds ago, there is the word is 5-man units. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
Yeah.
and, and they're really connecting as 5-man units, and when there's the score, and when there's something that's not connecting, not in sync between the D's and the fours, that's when you see, bad gaps. That's when you see bad decision making. That's when you see trying to cover up for something that messed up. And next thing you know, you're giving up chances after chances after chances. It's not what you're seeing right now because everybody's connected. Everybody's playing well as 5-man units. But yeah, I mean, it's, oh boy, I'll tell you, it's so nice for a coach to look down left, right on the bench. Who's next? You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing here? And it's nice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's fun because you get a penalty that it's like you're not like, oh man, I really don't know who to put out there anymore. You know what I mean? Like we
Yeah.
saw at the start of the year. Again, no offense to our buddy Ivan. You know what I mean? But you had Ivan on the bumper. You know what I mean? This year on the power play. You know what I mean? Like it's, you know what I mean? On the first power play. So I mean that's how low they were,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
I'm not bagging on Ivan. I like, please, Chad, don't get mad at me. I like Ivan. I think he's going to play in the National Hockey League for years to come. He will. He's one of those depth guys. That's what he is. But he's not a bumper on the power play. You know what I mean? That's not what he
Yeah.
is. And then he scored one or two or a couple, and then you're like, oh my god, this is sick. You know what I mean? McKinnon is that good. You know what I mean? It makes you look good. But again, the kid was great. He was put in a situation that it's not what he is.
Yeah.
But right now, that's not what you're seeing. what you're seeing is an abundance of riches, whatever you want to call that. You know what I mean? And it's fun for the coaching staff, I think, to get a little bit of that right now, which is they deserve it because it
Yeah,
wasn't like that all year long.
it's almost the opposite, right? You're talking about early in the year where like I don't know who to put out there, and you're trying to make all these micromanagement decisions to get the right guys out there at the right time. To where when they play like
Yeah.
this, you're like, I don't care who goes out there. Send any three, send any five, they'll be fine.
Oh, absolutely. And it's again, and Charlie Coyle has been asked to play like a second line center in Boston, like last year, for example, and got 60 points. Is that what he is? Is that a position of strength for him in the lineup? Probably not. Where he is right now probably is a position of strength. You know what I mean? Where
Yep.
all of a sudden he really solidifies the Avalanche, and I think that was your biggest beef yesterday. You know what I mean? Because I know
Yes.
you enough. That was your biggest beef because you're like, well, really now I'm just really not. The whole thing about the last couple of weeks is how strong they are down the middle, and
Yep.
now I'm weakening my middle
Yep.
for what reason? What am I trying to do? And I agree with you because right now, forget about Mac. I mean, he's in a league of his own. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then Nelson. I mean, are you serious? I mean, it's an again, it's a great second line center. And then you have Charlie that you can trust on anything, and he's perfectly perfect fit at that place. And I think everyone, not just chat, everyone you talk to has been so impressed and so excited because of the buzz he brings. And again, it's not like he's scoring every night, but Jack Drury's been awesome as a fourth line center. And I think it's really helped Kelly to get to where he belongs on the wing. And so right away, why are you weakening yourself? You know what I mean? And that was your pet peeve yesterday. And I think it rubbed off on me because that was mine too. You know what I mean? Where
Yep.
now it's like, let's leave the pillars there. And I think Lane was talking about this, right? Yeah, I agree. The only change I would do is flip the centers. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Marty and Lecky with Nelson, we all saw tonight. And then leave Mac with 27 and 13 right now for a few games and see where this goes. You know what I mean? So I think it's exciting. I think that those are all fun little tinkering where I would have said to you, like I said, I'm saying the same thing as 2 minutes ago. I would have left 88 and 29 together because I would have, oh man, don't touch it. But then you're touching it, and I'm like, you know what? Might be pretty good. It
Yep.
might be pretty good because
Yep.
88 and 29 will still be down the power play, right? You'll still see the buzz, the speed.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I think it's fun. I like what they're doing, and and again, you're scoring, you're winning on a game like tonight. Tough to argue with
Well,
the tinkering that they did.
it's it's that flexibility, right? If you feel like someone's
Yeah,
going, you can move them up the lineup. If you feel like someone's struggling, you can move them down the lineup. If you feel like you have a
yeah.
good matchup against a team's second pairing, you can target that.
Hmm.
It's incredible how much flexibility it gives the Avs. And on the defensive side, I wanted to throw a couple of stats at you. Now, since acquiring some of these guys through 7 games, Charlie Coyle has been on the ice for 1 goal against at 5-on-5. Nelson, only 3. Both of them have been
Hmm.
on the ice for 5 goals for. So they're on the right side of that. You look at the guys who've been here a little bit longer. Lindgren only 3 goals against when he's on the ice in 9 games. You keep on going down the list. Jack Drury, he's been here 21 games, only 9 goals scored while he's been on the ice. The defensive acumen of the guys who have gone out and acquired is pretty impressive. And maybe defensive acumen is not the right word. Nelson, I don't think has even been that great defensively for the Avs, but when he's generating the offense that he generates on a night like tonight, when he's doing the little details to help keep the Avs in the right positions and be dangerous, that's
Yeah.
okay. You're having an impact in a bit of a different way there.
Well, a sentiment position is tough, right? You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
like, especially the way they play in their own end, it's a little different. And then I think a few of those games he was thinking instead of reacting, right? We saw it
Yep.
last year with Drew for those 10 games, 12 games, whatever. Again, that's a winger.
Yep.
As a centerman, it's a little tougher, like a D. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Again, wingers are easy. You know what I mean? The position of winger is easy. Centerman is a lot more complex, and I think that's what you were seeing there for a little bit. but I think he's a smart man. He's going to be more than fine. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about it. Again, when he shows the goal scoring ability like he did tonight,
Yep.
that you're not paying him for defense to be here. I'll put it to you that way. Not that you'll take it, but that's just not his job. Um, yeah, it, it is weird. Again, I'm usually the stats guy. Don't take a look at the stats tonight. The stats tonight don't matter. The underlyings, at
No.
least. Obviously, the score
Look
matters.
at the final score.
Yeah. That was not a competitive hockey game for the vast majority of it. So you do have to take that with that grain of salt. Looking through the rest of the lineup, though, and I guess obviously you can't do this consistently. You're not going to dominate a SEGABABA and blow a team out. But are there portions of this game that the Avs can take some consistency from? They have a power play that ends up 2 for 4 on the night. They have both units are able to score on the power play for them. You look at the defensive play as a team. Yeah, you're never going to expect a team to only give up 16 shots on goal, but are these things that they can continue carrying forward, especially as they've kind of reset here? They're creating a new streak instead of the 9-game point streak that they just lost.
Yeah, I think it's more like you said. Uh, really take the game. When the puck drops, to be ready to go and to see where it takes you. Like you said tonight, there was parts of the first period. Again, I didn't see it. That weren't too good, and then Wedgie did his job. Right? You know what I mean? So there
Yep.
you go. Check mark. Goaltending. Done. All right. On a SEGABABA, what do we always say? Don't take penalties, or if the Avalanche are waiting for a team coming in, it's like don't give them a freebie. Don't take a penalty and let those guys go on the power play, feel good about their game, and that's exactly what the Avalanche did. They took advantage of an opportunity that was given to them, so
Yep.
they connect on 2 for 2 on the power play. And you're taking the lead on the SEGABABA is very important.
Yep.
So a lot of the parts of their game connected. That's what you take tonight. You got timely saves. Your power play was on point. Sounds like the all 4 lines were gelling, right? So you check mark, check mark, check mark. You didn't give up anything. What does that mean? That means you were connected. That means you didn't, really make any brain farts or no freebies that we talked about before the game, right? No freebies, nothing on no gifts. So you played a smart road period. You were smart with your puck management. So I think they looked at a lot of, post games. They will look at, 15, 16, 17 things. You know what I mean? Check mark, check mark, check mark. And they got their own, every coach has their own little, check mark list and go from there. And I think that's what you concentrate on tonight. That's what you look at. And that's what you try to duplicate Saturday in Montreal. And in another tough building, in a sense that they're fighting for their lives. Did see Ken tonight use. So those guys are excited. The city is buzzing. They're pumped that they've been using that word since last year that the Canadians are in the mix, right? The mix. They've been using that term. So again, tough environment for the Avalanche to go in. And what do you take away from tonight? The same thing. Duplicate all those little things to make sure that the outcome's the same in Montreal Saturday. And I think that's what you concentrate on as a coaching staff right now for the Avalanche, on a
Yep.
game like tonight. Because like you said, yeah, there's parts of the game it's like, oh boy. You know what I mean? Like, oh boy. Right? Score effects, and it's just kind of boring at times, and it's not a real hockey game, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Once you get that early, 5-0, it's like it's pretty much over.
I wanted to expand on your point there, and Tiff, we have our last 10 games. You can bring that up. You're talking about, hey, on a SEGABABA, make sure you score first. It's way easier
It is.
to do that. The Avs are 7-1-1 in the month of March and are 8-1-1 still in their last 10 as They did lose the other
Yeah.
night, but they're replacing wins with wins right now. When you look at those games, at least the ones from March, so starting with that Pittsburgh game, against Pittsburgh, Avs scored first. Against San Jose, Avs scored first. Against Toronto, they did not score first, but they won.
Yeah.
Against Chicago, they scored first. Against that Minnesota loss, did not score first. Calgary, they scored first. Dallas did not score first. Toronto loss, did not score first. And the Ottawa game tonight, they obviously score first. So
Yeah.
scoring first helps you win. Sometimes the Avs are able to win when they don't score first, but both of their losses in the month of March, they did not score first. It's hard to play from behind, man.
I'm a big guy. You know me. I'm a big guy. Sorry, not a big. I am a big guy. But I'm a big believer in scoring first. I do believe that. I'm not telling you that when I played or when I worked for a team or, you know, oh God, we gave up the first goal. We're cooked. You know what I mean? No, that's not what I'm saying. But I do believe that in the heat of the moment, obviously, you'll want to overcome anything that's thrown at you like a goal. That's not the end of the world. Who cares? Move on. I know that. But what I'm saying is when you look back at it, man, oh man, you start on the right foot. It energizes you. You're excited. You know, I do believe in the magic of scoring first. I really do. I do. Um, I just I'm a big believer in it. And when the Avalanche do it, um, last year they were killing us with those comebacks all the time. I get that, but when the Avalanche do it, I do feel that they stabilize the game. They control the game, and they usually come up victorious. That's just the way I look at it.
Yep. Uh, let me take a second and zoom out even bigger picture here. Before game 1 of this season, if I told you after game 70 the Avs would have 42 wins and a points percentage of .621, would you take that?
Yeah, especially considering the pickle they were in right last summer with Gabe and Val, and knowing Lecky was going to be out like a dozen games, and
Yeah.
I certainly didn't feel good about the goaltending. So I know that they didn't either. And that's besides playing those first few games. Then I really didn't feel good, and they didn't really feel good. So yeah, I would take it. You know what I mean? Because of all the situation that they were in, and they only got worse. So today, I know it's easier said than done, but the question is if would you have taken it? Uh, you know, in October when the season started, I would have said yes. So yeah, I mean to me I
So
would
you
have said
probably would have
yes.
said yes even at the start of the season. And now let me
Yeah.
take a step even further. At game 25 of this season, the Avs were one game above 500. They were 13
Hmm.
and 12 with a .52 points percentage. So that means in the last 45 games, the Avs have won 32 of them. Is that right? I think that's wrong. Did I say the wrong number? It's close to that. Hang on, I'll confirm it. Give me one sec. Uh, in those games, the Avs have won 30. 30 even. Not 32. My bad.
Same thing.
Look at that. By the way, the 25 game mark was December 1st, and a week later, the Avs traded for Mackenzie Blackwood. So, given the way the
There you
first
go.
month and a half, 2 months of this season played, you got to be pretty impressed with what the Avs have put together across the last 3 months here.
Yeah, and that's why you do what they did, because of number 8, number 29. You know what I mean? Again, 88, 13, 62, 7, secondary guy. That's why you do that. That's why you go and fix the goaltending, because the proof's in the pudding, right? Look at the numbers, like you just said, 30 wins and whatever it is, 45 games, whatever.
Yep.
There's the recipe is there. You just got to have the right ingredients. You know what I mean? I do believe they didn't have the right ingredients. You know what I mean? And I think that there's nothing wrong with changing your recipe along the way. You know, it's okay. Like your restaurant was about to shut down, close down because your recipe stunk. You know what I mean? Like the customers weren't eating it. You know what I mean? So now I think it's more okay. You do have the right recipe. You do have the right ingredients, and all they can do is just bring success, right? So and that's what it's doing right now. It's brewing success, and it's fun to watch. Everybody's kind of you know digging in the sense that given their parts, and now everyone wants to stay in the soup right now. They do. Ask Jimmy, ask Miles. You know what I mean? They're on the outside looking in right now. So you gotta, when you're called upon, you better make sure you're ready to go. You know what I mean? Because right now nobody else wants to get out. You know what I mean, of the recipe, or they want to be key ingredients. You know, the Kivis of the world, the LOC, the Parkers, you know, like I said yesterday, even Ross Colton to a certain extent. You know what I mean? Like if you're not producing, I'm just saying at some point you're gonna feel it. You know, so you got to make sure that you're ready to go. And right now it's such a healthy competition that it's fun. It's fun to see them. Malinski on the back end. We talked about it like 30 minutes ago. Same thing. It's fun to see guys respond. You know what I mean, to what's thrown at them, and right now it's just as healthy as it can be. I love it.
Yeah, I don't know what's not to love right now. Like you lost yesterday to stupid stuff. Sure, you didn't love that in the
Yeah.
moment, but uh, this is the Avs are now 9-1-1 in their last 11 games. Like it,
What more do you want?
you cannot play better than that. If you go 9-1-1, well, you can't have an overtime loss. If you go 9-2 in the first 2+ rounds of the playoffs, you're in a conference finals. You're doing
Yeah,
pretty
exactly.
good. Like,
So the 10 gamer segment that I say every year, this team does it again. I'm talking about the winning years of the franchise. They always go on a 10 gamer. So I think we're pretty close to say that 9-1-1 is pretty close to a 10 gamer. Like let's not panic here. You know.
not
So
bad. It's
here's
not
their
bad.
10. Here's their tenner. Here's their 10 gamer. Feels good.
Go, go win 10 more and win the Central. Win out. Why not?
Exactly.
Uh,
Yep.
I don't think we have too much more to add here as we're winding down, but a couple of things I wanted to pick your brain on, E. And I know you said, and I agree with you, Wedgwood is clearly the backup. He's played
Yep.
great though over the last 4 games. How do
Awesome.
you? How many games realistically do you try to give Blackwood? There's 12 games left of the season. You have one back-to-back left. Blackwood playing 6, 7, 8, 9. How heavy a load?
Yeah, I think what you'll see is, especially lately, Mackenzie hasn't played a lot, right? He's been sick and whatever. He hasn't played a lot. I think you want to give him 75-25 in my book. You know what I
Two
mean?
back to
So,
backs left. My bad. Two back to backs left.
so I think Wedgie plays probably 3, 4 more games.
Okay.
Wedgie, you know.
So both back to
So
backs
yeah,
and then two more.
is that close? 75-25, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
that would be
my math stinks. Give and take.
66-33. But
Yeah, whatever. Close enough. You know what I mean?
yeah,
70-30, whatever.
yeah.
That's the way I would do it. I want to make sure the big fella gets his reps in right now and goes in there feeling pretty good about himself. So, yeah, that's the way I would say.
Okay.
Overtime in
I'm
Dallas, right? I'm reading chat, so.
yes. Overtime in Dallas. I made a funny tweet about it. You guys should go
Oh, you
retweet
did?
it.
Okay, sorry.
uh, we are winding down the show, so if you're watching on television, we do have to wrap things up. We're headed into overtime. Join the conversation online. You can join the chat, jump in at thednvr.com to watch us, but there won't be too much left in this one. Just a couple of other things that I wanted to mention. Um, it's interesting. E, I know you're the guy who the first 50 games of the season, you didn't care about the standings, and I did. With 12
Yeah.
games left, I almost don't care about the standings anymore. It almost doesn't matter to me anymore.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, the Avs are going to get in, and you're going to play who you're going to play. The Avs, the Avs' objective is to go 4 rounds. It doesn't matter who you play in the first, second, third rounds. You're trying to do all of them. You're going to have to go through 4 teams either way if you want to make it all the way to the end of this thing.
Especially nowadays, there's such parity in the league. You want to get in. And I don't think the Avalanche ever take for granted that they're going in. They talk in the summers and the start of training camp always about saying, hey, the most important thing is to get in, right? You know what I mean? Of course you have Stanley Cup aspirations. That's not what I'm saying. Obviously in the window they're in and everything. But can't have a Stanley Cup championship if you don't get in. So I think the most important thing right now is, you're right, standings, it's not that important. You want to make sure that you're in. Obviously, sounds like they're going to be in. And then I think it's more about how you play and how you're going into that dance. You know what I mean? Are you going in sideways with a flat tire, or are you really showing up confident and really feeling good and have the swag and feel good about where your game's at? Where all your tools are at is the toolbox ready to go. And, you know, I think that's what they care about. You're right. I think they're in the same boat as you. They don't give a schniskis about where they finish. I think they want to feel good about where their game's at. And wherever it takes them, it takes them. If it puts them first overall, you know, unrealistically, you know, then great, so be it. You know what I mean? But I don't think that, you know, that's the goal. I think it's more about, let's play our way. Let's see where we're at. Wherever the chips fall, they fall. And we'll go from there.
I'm good with that. One last thing for you. I hate to do this to you, but if the Avs play like that every time BU loses, I'm going to need them to lose in the tournament.
I know. He was terrible tonight. God, they were awful. I mean, again, UConn was awesome. Don't give me. It just shows you passion, right? It just shows you passion. You had one passionate team and one sleepy team. And when it's in one game, so be it. And I think that's why I said I hate college hockey in a sense that, but you're still in the tournament, like, you know, next week in the regionals. So yeah, the fire is not there. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It is what it is. But yeah, whatever. That's my beef. I was even wearing red. You know what I mean? Like, I was wearing red underneath. I was all ready to go, but no, there was nothing there.
Should have worn UConn blue, I guess.
I know. God.
All right. That's all I got, unless you got any final thoughts here, eh?
No, I'm good. That's fun. Again, this is, you know, Saturday night. I'm looking forward to it. Obviously, my hometown.
Yeah.
You know, it's a fun. Boy, that place went nuts. I don't know if you guys saw highlights. Josh Anderson was second star, first star, whatever he was, and then Mark Denny, friend of the show, you know, to the crowd said, I think somebody had just lost or whatever. Hey, as of right now, you guys are in the playoff spot. And then the crowd went bananas. You know what I mean? Like on the post-game interview on the ice. And Anderson couldn't even put a word in because the place was going nuts. So it is a special place when you win. It's an awful place when you lose. But, yeah, it'll be fun. It's going to be fun. I'm excited for Saturday night to see how the Avalanche react to the 3-4, how the Avalanche, you know, respond in a sense to – not respond, but deploy their lines again. I'm excited to see, like, is he going to go back to what we saw today? Is he, you know what I mean? So all that kind of stuff, it's kind of fun. It's what makes it exciting. And again, they're certainly not limping down towards the end of the season. They're actually thriving. So kind of fun to see.
All right. Well, we are going to wrap things up here. We appreciate everyone hanging out for us. We will be on tomorrow for an off-day show, so I don't know. Bring some crazy takes. Maybe we'll take some questions. Maybe we'll do a Q&A show for the last time before the playoffs. That might be fun. Yeah. We are done for tonight, though. We appreciate y'all. This has been the DNVR Avalanche post-game show presented by Bet365.
We all silly like the mayor.